Vince, Emmanuel, thank you so much for that display of, well, that's not even your collection, right? That's just what you have here. It's just stuff you're selling.
Just stuff that I bring from BGS for some trade and some kind that I bring for sure to friends.
Yeah, just example pieces. You actually came here to make purchases in the US, to buy inventory to distribute in Europe, right?
Yeah, basically I was looking for some, like we talked with Dana, I was looking for alpha and beta rares. Because for the alpha, I need them for completing collection at customers. Because I have actually 3 customers that are building alpha food set.
Okay.
One, he after completed one unsigned, now started with one signed. But big part of cards, basically you can send the artist and purchase okay or signed or unsigned.
Okay.
And this was for the part of alpha. For the beta, basically, we focus I put the things with Dana was actually we have increased difference from alpha and beta rares.
Okay.
Because, for example, a typical card like the Zurmand Doppelganger, actually, alpha you paid from 6,000 to 8,000.
Just for a raw, the super doppelganger,
Yeah, for raw, basically 8.5 really. Also, I saw one signed going for 10,000.
Okay.
That is amazing number because basically it's closed at 1 box. And the point was that for beta rares, for example, one beta Bezuman, you can pay from 1,000 to 2,000. Basically, the difference is too much.
Okay. The spread between alpha and beta is high.
Yeah, and that works because I remember I was telling him actually when we were off camera. Charles, he was telling him and I were talking about Wheel of Fortunes at one point, and that same thing was going on with the Wheel of Fortunes. There was just such a big spread between beta and alpha that it was like, no, Wheel of Fortune is a great card, and we ended up getting in at like really low prices and taking a lot of the Wheel of Fortunes off the market.
Absolutely.
And now the price has skyrocketed.
But that's you guys didn't manipulate anything. You guys just liked the card. It was cheap.
Yeah.
And that's actually our main show, FaBled Hunters, is obviously focused on flesh and blood, but it's great to have you guys here to provide that perspective because you guys make moves that you see are worth it. When you see value in the market, when something's underpriced, you move in. I'll give you an example. We mentioned the Super Doppelganger, we mentioned like cards that were low. These boxes, this is called Crucible of War, the 3rd box. These were probably $200 and $250. And Rudy was like, there's too few of them. Rudy from Alpha Investments. He was like, there's too few boxes of Crucible of War. I want to buy them. I want to buy all of them between whatever. They're probably worth $700. So I'm going to buy every box from $200 to $600 and just buy whatever's in the market. And it turns out he was right because these went up to like 1,500 at one point earlier this year, and then now we're in a bear market, so they dropped, but they're still $700, $800. So if you bought them for $200, $250, you're making 3.5x.
Basically, when one item is good, it's for sure, but it's not today. Tomorrow will go up again.
Of course,
because sometimes people. You have new printing or new things or new deck or new spike and people is focused to another things and leave the other or just, for example, if this box was 250 and they paid 100, now sell them for investing in some other and prices lost 10 or 50%, but after that people will back again to see them and prices will go up. If you have to attention on TCG market, you can do easy money. Of course, need a small gambling, but the prices, and was the point of beta and alpha, 1 to 5, it's it's basically a rule is not written that everything will be to the fair portion.
Proportion.
Proportion.
Constant returns to scale is what you're saying. Things that are in a fair proportion, meaning alpha to beta. Beta is printed 3 times more than alpha, so alpha is roughly 3 times the price.
Yeah.
So there are constant returns to scale.
Because it's not an automatic market or an electronic market, but it's a manual market. The time that someone buys some cards basically happen also for the fetchland sold. You see some painland that was prices were more than on-salt fetchland, but the
Really?
painland, because
Mainland more than fetchland.
the painland recently really spike up and
Really?
reached the prices of the fetchland, and someone say, oh, but the fetchland are too cheap. And now you find a polluted delta for 1,500, but
Oh, wow.
months ago was 400 or 500
Really?
in US. In Europe, this happen more slow because sometimes on all the items like the fetchland, especially for the commander foils cards,
Yep.
you find in Europe the prices at half or 1/3 of the value of US, because many times I saw in US the polluted delta for 600, and in Europe you can buy for 5.
Yeah.
Because
Wait, 250 you're saying?
250.
250.
Yeah, 250.
So a staple, a foil?
Yeah,
A foil staple polluted delta fetchland.
Yeah.
$600. It came out in Onslaught, you said, right?
Yeah,
From
absolutely.
Onslaught. But then in Europe, you get it for 250. So
Yeah.
with that type of information, you probably buy in Europe and sell in the US, and then you
Yeah.
make this trade all day long, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You have many ways, and this help you to see the prices, because if you see the payment, that price is same of the fetchland, something doesn't work well.
Yep.
Because for sure the 7th edition is rare, but the payment have limited collections and playable, because just you play incremental. The fetchland like polluted delta is played from when it's started from standard to vintage.
Of course.
So it's almost like at least this is the way I see it, is like there's inefficiencies in markets, in any market, but in the card market it's really interesting. So you can really take advantage of those inefficiencies, and that's really how I think investors or traders in the card market are making money.
Absolutely.
Going back to what you said with the how do you say it with the
The polluted delta?
No.
Wheel of Fortune?
Way back where we started, where it moves together, like the market moves together.
Constant returns to scale.
Yeah, like, so if we go back to the constant returns to scale, so if something in a market like that gets way off and it's not in line with the normal scale of the market, usually that can be used as an identifier to say, hey, this might be a good opportunity to move in where that inefficiency exists. You see what I'm saying? Because eventually it kind of will, over time, by the law of large numbers, come back to some version of a scale again.
Yep.
And then you can take advantage. So that's how you predict the price of a market. And then when you see the inefficiencies, like you were just talking about, you can just go in there and immediately take advantage of that, because you see the spread between 250 and 650, and there's money to be made there. And I think that's just where you come in as guys like us, and come in and see that.
Also, another stupid example was 2 years ago. I was on the watches of market, just for collection and passion. You see that prices of steel was basically the similar of gold, but this is not possible because gold is limited in
You
production.
mean like the stainless steel Rolexes were approaching the price of two-tone Rolexes or 14-karat gold Rolexes?
Yes. Now what happened? The gold, for example, some model that was the steel 17 and gold 22,000. Now the gold is 50,000 and the steel is 23 or 24.
Okay.
Because you need always the portion on the market. It's not understandable how some items can cost this low. And,
of course. And some grow too fast, disproportionately to the market itself. And so you just said magic, it happens in magic, it happens in watches. And I can even give my viewers, I'll give an example. really quickly, I have a Arcane Rising box. So this is basically the second printing. There's only 16,667 boxes of this ever made. This is Crucible War, 37.5. So between 16,000 and 37.5, this is roughly 2.5 times as printed as this item. This is $2,000. This is about $800. So this times 2.5 should be the value of that. And it just almost exactly 800 and 2,000. The returns to scale are also exist in Flesh and Blood, and we should always be mindful of that. Because if this gets too much cheaper than, if this is less than 40% of this, right, or 2.5 times, then this is undervalued, right? Or if one is off of that balance, then it's undervalued, and you can always keep that in mind. And if you're collecting, if you're buying, if you're investing, any of the above, as long as you understand the proportionality of these assets, you always have an idea which items are out of sync. And which are, which are just off. So I haven't asked yet, or I'm asking now. You're from Europe. You live out of Switzerland. You operate a lot in Germany, Austria, France. What have you heard about Flesh and Blood in that market there? Have you heard anything at all?
Honestly, I don't know very well the product, but just from my search and also see some your video or James Carvey or the Chris.
Chris Ayers, James Curry. Oh, you saw some of their stuff too.
Yeah, because anyway, I like to study what happened on the market because anyway, you can find the new collaboration or also sometimes what happened and is interesting. For this, recently I'm started to have interest for the Pokemon. It's many customers when it's in more divided market, for example, and I sell one card online. I receive offer to I have a portion in cash, but I have Pokemon cards.
Okay.
And people want to trade the other TCG to enter in the other market. For sure, someone that I know that is collecting Magic also started to see the Flesh and Blood, and basically after some months, maybe want to trade some Magic for Flesh and Blood.
Okay.
But basically, my idea is that the Flesh and Blood is more focalized to US market.
Okay.
Because in Europe need always more time for everything. Already for Magic that is solid, but people understand after 1 or 2 years the trend of gaming on the card. For example, until 2 or 3 years ago, the Commander in Europe wasn't popular.
Really?
Yeah. And for this, we had really difference from prices from Europe and US, and you can do.
You can research in the background, like what standard cards were popular in the US.
Basically, because the problem is the concept of European buyer. Not everyone, because we can say a things for everyone.
Of course.
But big part of
in general,
of buyer of Europe, it's they don't buy like US buyer for passion for playing, because Commander is a chicken table.
Kitchen table, yep.
It's like a Dungeons and Dragon or similar. It's not too much competitive, but it's for fun. The European customer like the competitive game and also like the profit if is collecting. Like to move fast, check the prices. The US, it's more focalized on real passion. Also, this happened in Japan, because we have many private sellers, but in US and for example, for sure in Japan, basically doesn't exist the private seller, because the collector is collector and respect the work of the store.
Yep.
You know that if you go to the store for play and collect, the prices is this, and you can too much contract. For example, another things, the European buyer every time try to contract the price. US buyer and Japanese buyer basically know that prices is this. Of course, we talk of fair prices.
Yep.
If fair prices, 90% of my US customers don't contract the prices, not because they have a lot of money, but because respect the work. The European try always to start with a gain on the fix, but the point generally is this: if you want a card is 1,000 and you buy for investing, the important thing is buy it, because if you buy for 900 or 1,000, you don't have difference.
Doesn't make a difference in the long term.
The good way is buy this item. Of course, if the medium trend is 1,000 and someone asks 1,300, we talk of price out of market.
Of course.
On fair prices, the good way is buy it. If you have money, buy it.
If you can afford it, if you like
Absolutely.
it, get it today. The $100 does not make a difference, right?
And this basically, it's for return to the FaBled. It's difficult that someone start in Europe just for passion, but people started because saw that US guys listing, opening the box, are doing the video and basically doing some money. For this, the European have a track, because it's difficult that basically a guy of 12 or 13 years can start for really passion or for fun to play with friends. But a guy of 25 years or more starts something because like
there's a financial incentive, right?
Like
so it's hard
to start to be a trader, sell, holding, send to grading. Also, what happened with Pokemon and Sim and NBA.
Sports cards, of course.
Yeah, sports cards. People, of course, someone buy because like the product, but big part because know that this product can give you a profit.
A return, of course, a profit.
But this needs attention, because if you want to do a profit, for sure, you need a budget, or you need many time for do trading. Because if you think that you buy 3 or 4 boxes for 100 each and you become rich, it's what happened. And this is the problematic, because it's what happens sometimes on the market, that have many small buyers on the market. What happened? That buy the boxes for 100 and have a limited budget. After some months, start to sell them fast for have back.
Get their money back.
The money.
And they're just looking for the return in a few months. That happened in Flesh and Blood. I'll bring this up.
For this, the prices go down.
Go down
You
real
need
quick.
attention. But when prices go down, the real trader start to buy for
That's so
for long
funny.
term.
No, because what you just said is your experience in Magic the Gathering, right? Dana, we're both in on this boat together. Monarch First Edition.
Big time.
When this got released, the viewers know this was $550 to $600 per box, and people were flipping. They were like, "Oh, let me just sell it. Let me just sell it. Let me just sell it." And I started buying probably when it dropped to $400 a box, then $375 a box, and $350 a box, and now it went as low as $250, and now it's probably back up to $315, $320 per box. But that's just people. They're just looking for that short term. And like you said, 900 or 1,000 does not make a difference. 315 and 350 don't make a difference to me. I don't care. I like the product. I'm not going to be short tomorrow. I'm not going to be short next month.
Yeah.
You know, there's food on the table. My kid's going to good school. I'm going to hold on to these boxes for 5 years, 10 years. What does it matter whether it's 315 or 350, right?
Yeah, that's an important point too, because you have to be able to have a view like that when it comes to holding collectible. You know, and then I were also just talking to. It's like you also have to kind of love what you're holding in a way too.
Yeah.
It's like you have a passion for Fab, and obviously, you've got a passion for different parts in MTG.
Of course.
You know, I was sharing with him. That one of the passions I have is like Arabian legends, antiquities,
The horseman.
revives, because that was kind of the era I played. So like if we go through a bear market or a market that, the market retracts a little bit like you just described, it's like, well, do you have the the faith in it to just hold it and be okay with it, or you have the passion behind it to just say, I'm just going to hold this box, and if it goes to $100 a box, I'm just still going to hold it because I like the box.
Having it.
Right? And that will get you through most markets.
My thing about this is, if you buy for passion, for suit, you will never money, because basically you don't check the price.
You don't need to check the price every single day.
And sometimes you receive good news because you bought years ago, you have the item, you have the passion for item, and after you check it, so, I have a new capital.
Yeah,
To invest, I can sell or
I could move some pieces if I want to get other pieces I like.
If you buy just for profit, need high attention, and also you can start in today and think to do insane business or insane profit, because like you, many other people do the same thing.
They're thinking about it the same way, and they buy in for $100 for a box, and it goes down to 95. They're like, oh, I'm already losing 5%. And then tomorrow it goes down to 93, and then at some point when it hits 89, they go crazy and they sell out everything, and they say it was a bad business. But it's not a business. It's a trading card game. It's a collector's item for both Magic and Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, because this is what I was going to mention. Is like there's a place where flippers can make money in this business, but also collectors make money. And then we were kind of discussing which one makes more? Because it's like it's kind of strange. It's like I have stuff that I've held, and I've made a tremendous amount of money just because I've held it and I've not sold it. Yep. And then there's also transactions, like you probably do a lot of flipping more than maybe collecting, right? And we know Mark and a bunch of the other guys do that stuff. They're flippers. It's like, well, there's definitely money to be made there as well. So it's like, but which one's better? And I think you have to have a blend of the both. I think there's a place for flipping. But then there's also a place for just holding and, doing what you said and saying, hey, I bought this box. I like it. I really don't care. It's just my savings money. It's money that, I'm still putting food on the table. I still have an income coming in. I'm not hurting for money. And I can just hold this and go up. And chances are you're probably going to get a tremendous amount more than you're going to get on any savings account by doing it that way.
Absolutely.
In the long run.